live on YouTube and Facebook.
I just went live. I just went live on YouTube and Facebook. Hello. I have not received any notification that you want me to go live with you.
Let's try this again. Covered in pet hair. Invite. Okay, is it going to be weird on us again? Because we missed last week.
How dare we?
How dare we miss a week?
Let me just go in there.
Yeah. How are you guys doing? Yes.
Request to join. Send request.
Oh, it says you're Oh, wait, now it says you joined. No, it doesn't. Hang on. Try this again. Invite.
Yes. Now I got your invite.
Okay, great.
Hi.
Hi.
Hold on one sec.
It's so good to see you.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
It's so good to see you too. We started a little last minute here. My fault.
No.
I'm trying to do too many things at once. That's just the reality of it.
So this week on the Weekly Pet Roundup, we are continuing our spring series, though it feels more like summer for me today, but we're talking about heartworms. So last time we met, we talked about fleas and ticks, talking about heartworms today. You're buffering on Instagram. Am I buffering for you?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if it's me or you. Yeah, I just get like the spinning circle. At least it's a pretty picture of you smiling into the camera.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
I'm back. Okay, good.
You're back. So really quick before we get started, I just have something super special that I put out on my podcast yesterday, which was like a weird day for me. I normally post on Tuesdays. I posted it yesterday because I wanted everybody to get like advanced notice, or like at least as much notice as possible. Today is Earth Day, April 22nd. And we, which I think is weird. I think it's normally on a Thursday for some reason this year it's on a Tuesday.
I think it's always the 22nd, isn't it? I thought.
Really?
At least that's what I've been saying on my client blogs.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Who the heck knows?
I should check that.
But it is Earth Day, and the thing with today is that I remember back in 2020, I saw a documentary called Kiss the Ground. And it was like not necessarily the first I had heard about regenerative agriculture, but it kind of put into perspective like what regenerative agriculture is. And for me as a nutritionist, I talk about regenerative agriculture a lot because the food that we put on our plate has very different nutritional values depending on how it is raised or grown. And so I am very passionate about trying to eat as much regeneratively raised meats and produce as possible. And so Kiss the Ground came out in 2020. Today on Prime Video, the follow-up to that documentary called Common Ground is being released, and they also added Kiss the Ground to Prime Video. So they're basically both on Prime Video. Today is the first day. But it is the launch for Common Ground. And I did a very quick podcast episode with Ian Somerhalder, who is an actor and humanitarian, who is one of the famous people in this documentary series on like what we can do to actually save our planet. Regenerative agriculture can save our planet. I firmly believe that, and I am in no way, shape, or form like involved with this documentary. I'm just fully behind it. So please go check out the podcast. Go watch Common Ground tonight as you're eating dinner or whatever on Prime Video. And that is my introduction. Now I will let Isabel talk.
Well, is that appropriate in front of my children?
I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I don't see why not.
Oh, okay.
I don't see why not. I mean, we're talking about saving the planet.
The original one, the one that you did see, was that one like fine for kids?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put that on tonight because my kids need a lesson in not being wasteful.
Yeah. I mean, it's really about like when we actually work with the earth instead of against it, so we're not using pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, like insecticides, all those things. We're not using those things because those are trying to kill, right? When we instead work with the earth, then we regenerate our soils. We bring back nutrients in our food. We bring back the ecosystem, which monocropping, I don't, people may or may not know, like completely destroys the soil. I read something the other day that like one application of Roundup or anything like Roundup is it will completely destroy the soil for 10 years.
What?
Because it's an antibiotic, and antibiotics are literally anti-life. So It kills everything. Nothing can grow. And so that's what we have done with industrialization and, allowing our legislative representatives to allow big ag, pharmaceutical companies who own these big agricultural companies. What was interesting is he told me that very similarly how we always talk about how big pet food has co-opted veterinary universities, veterinary schools. These agrochemical companies have done the exact same thing in the agriculture departments at universities.
Yeah.
So that's all these people are learning when they're going through
the A&Ms out there, all the A&Ms.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm such a nerd, I'm such a geek, but this is like super, super interesting to me, and I'm super passionate about it. And I think for me, it all goes hand in hand, even though like you think about, oh, we're talking about dogs and cats. Like, why are we talking about the earth? Like, it matters.
Oh my gosh.
So much.
No, our pets have a huge carbon footprint. Huge. Just the poop has a huge carbon footprint. I've been writing all week about, the difference between biodegradable poop bags and landfill biodegradable poop bags. And we all think we're doing something great for the environment by buying biodegradable or compostable poop bags. But unless you have an industrial composting situation in your area, which most people don't, or your poop bag, the biodegradable poop bag is somehow being handled differently than a landfill, those are completely a waste of money because nothing is happening with them. Most poop bags end up in a landfill. And unless there's something that breaks it down specifically in a landfill environment, none of these bags are doing what the packaging says, because in a landfill, you don't have light, you don't have oxygen, and you don't have moisture. It's just layers upon layers upon layers of trash, right? So that poop bag that's covered by layers of trash is never going to get moisture or sunlight or oxygen. It's just completely deprived of all those things. So that poo bag that you paid extra money for, the earth rated types and all those things, it's acting like a plastic bag from the grocery store. Like at that point in that landfill, it's exactly the same. So as a consumer, I'm like annoyed because people are paying money for something that's not really biodegrading like they think it is.
Yeah.
It's still taking 100 years, 300 years, depending on the bag, right, to degrade in that landfill. So I always, and I've done this before, it's on my grid on Instagram. I went live with the founder of Green Line Pet Supply at Super Zoo last year. She makes a landfill biodegradable poop bag that has a proprietary earth-safe additive that she developed that goes into the material that makes the poop bag. And with that additive, which is basically bacteria, that eats the poop and the bag. So that is biodegradable anywhere, especially landfills where most of our poop bags end up. Obviously, another thing is like the waterways, like anybody who's just leaving the poop out, which is such a pet peeve of mine. And when I did my show last week, I was interviewing Jessica Williams, who hikes with her dogs, and her background was like in environmental science before she started blogging with her blog name, and her business name is You Did What With Your Wiener. And she was talking about how she was in like water quality, like that's what she did. And so I was asking her how annoyed she gets when she sees people not picking up, because she knows how much of an impact that has. Like if you walk past your poop, you pretend that dog didn't poop, you forgot that bag, whatever your excuse is, or you forgot, like you're hiking and you like leave it on the side of the trail and you forget, all that poop ends up in our waterways. It contaminates our seafood. It contaminates our drinking water. It contaminates like the water that the wildlife drinks. It contaminates our crops. It contaminates everything. Poop needs to be landfilled, but of course we want it to be landfilled in bags that don't end up also adding a bunch of microplastics to the environment. So there's so much to it just with poop. We can literally have a whole conversation about just how poop and our pets affects the environment. And that's just like dogs. That's not even going into the litter and what litter manufacturing, what litter disposal does to our environment. So we really, in any way that, and I'm glad we're starting with this, because I was thinking too, like, we can't all get it right. And actually Jessica said that. She was like, I don't get so mad about people not picking up, because maybe those people are like, doing something else that's like very helpful to the environment. So maybe, there's like a kind of like a balance there somewhere. I disagree with that, because I think that if you're the kind of person who walks by poop, you probably don't give a damn about anything. That's my opinion, and I'm gonna stick to it. That's just based on my experience. I'm like the kind of person that will lose sleep if I like didn't have a bag. So I will literally come home, get a bag, and go out. If it's I've lived here for almost 8 years, and it's happened maybe twice. And I will literally get home, bring my dogs in, go walk back, or drive back wherever I was to pick it up. Within an hour, it's gone. But I feel like we can't always do everything right? Like I can't do everything perfectly. Like, yes, I have a cat. Yes, I use litters. So like, I know that I'm having an impact on the environment that's negative. But I can, for example, invest in those green line poop bags. I use them for the litter scooping, because they have an extra large size, which is really cool. And then I use them for all my dog waste management. So like in the yard, I have a basket full of the rolls. So like, there's no excuse. My son picks up, I pick up, my husband picks up, and that's our yard. That only affects us. But again, it goes into the waterway. It doesn't rain a lot here, so it's not like an immediate impact. But if you live somewhere where like you don't pick up every day, that poop, that if it's raining, is going into your waterways inevitably. And so we all have to do something. So like in your case, it's regenerative agriculture, buying more sustainable foods. For me, it's maybe like waste management, but we can all do a little bit better when it comes to our pet parenting to support the environment and to be more responsible pet parents. And for me also, like, packaging is super important, supporting local businesses whenever you can, so that there's not that carbon footprint of just like the shipping costs or the shipping, the emissions and all that has to do with when you're shipping stuff from from 5 states away or more, right? Yeah. So buying locally is really important. If you can do that, buying in bulk, depending on what it is, right? Like, you don't want to buy kibble in bulk because then it'll go bad, but like maybe you do buy your cans of food in bulk, so that plastic packaging that they put around, like the cases of cat food, for example, that might minimize the amount of plastic just because you're buying it in bulk. Whatever it is that you can do to support the environment, it's important to do it, because yes, today is Earth Day and everybody's like, hey, what are we going to do for the environment? But there's 365, sometimes 366 days in the year. And there's a lot of opportunities for us to either really make bad decisions and be wasteful and be kind of abuse the environment. And there are opportunities for us, without a ton of expense involved, just make better choices. I do think that yes, buying poop bags might be like, I'm not going to buy poop bags. That's like, I don't have the money to buy a poop bag. Okay, well then, what can you do? Like, what is it that you can do? Can you, pick up poop that you walk by? Like, even if it's not your dog's, right? Like, can you do something like that? Can you participate in like a park cleanup in your area? There's a lot of them. And those things are usually volunteer and they just take your time. And if you have the time to offer, that's another way to support. And I personally don't feel like Greenline Pet Supplies poop bags are very expensive. They are having a promo this week. She's doing 20% off of everything
Nice.
for Earth Day. So if you go to my grid, you'll see that I posted today my affiliate links there and my and the codes there. But I feel like it's there. She also has, one of the things I really like is I buy them in bulk, the bags, and they don't come packaged. Like there's no plastic. They come in like a really big box. And then the poo bags that I use for litter scooping are just like a big roll. It just comes with like a little sticker. That's it. So there's no excess packaging, which I think is huge too. Because again, it's just little by little, and supporting your like no waste stores. If you have those nearby, those are amazing. Like I was just looking at one in Chicago for one of my clients, and it's so cute and it looks so fun. And like, I don't know that I've never even looked in El Paso if we have a no waste store where you take your like containers and you just refill stuff. Like instead of buying a huge thing of like dish soap to refill your thing, you would just take all your containers to the store, refill stuff. If it's somewhere that you like work nearby or something like that, it's like such a cool opportunity to do something and probably save some money in the process, because you inevitably do pay for that plastic tub that everything comes in.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I think also that really does lead us into our topic today anyway, because so last time we talked about flea and tick, today we're talking about heartworm, and the reality of those chemicals that you get, whether you're buying them from like a Walmart or a Petco or your veterinarian's office. These are chemicals, they are neurotoxins, and they 100% not only get everywhere in your dog or cat's body, meaning they're going to affect every single organ. You're going to find them in every type of cell in your dog or cat's body. They get through the blood-brain barrier, so they're going to be in your pet's brains as well. Sex organs, all of it. Every place you could think to check in your dog or cat's body, you're going to find these neurotoxic chemicals. That's bad enough, but anything that you put on topically or those collars, that is 100% also going to get in the environment. It is in our waterways. There are studies out there showing that it is killing and changing the ecosystem in our waterways, because they are finding like fipronil and isoxazoline, or however the heck you say it, all of these active ingredients in these products are being found. What I will say, because I know we're kind of jumping in a little bit later, for anybody listening, to me, especially like heartworm, ivermectin is in small doses is incredibly effective and fairly benign in the body as far as like risk factors are concerned. So I'm just going to jump out there and say that there are ways to get like HeartGuard, plain HeartGuard is basically like a microdose of ivermectin. I think there's one other one out there. I'd have to double check. Dr. Josie Bugh recently posted about this. So like if you are terribly concerned, you want to do something in addition, you can go that route. Absolutely. And you can go the route without having to do the really harmful neurotoxic chemicals. And I know there are some people out there who still squirm at ivermectin, but this is a Nobel Prize winning, you know what I mean? Like this is
the reason
medication.
I'm laughing, you know why I'm laughing? I use ivermectin every single day.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
No,
I just talked to somebody else.
I have rosacea.
Oh, okay.
And I spent my whole life suffering with redness and breakouts. And there's a rosacea type 1, which is the redness, and there's rosacea type 2, which is like cystic acne. And I had both. But I spent my whole like teens, 20s, 30s going to dermatologists, and I was treated for acne. All of the acne products always just destroyed my skin even further because I was so sensitive. And I always just grew up being like, I have the most sensitive skin. I can't, like, nothing can touch my skin. Well, thankfully, ironically, when I got pregnant with Mila, my youngest, 5-6 years ago now, I got horrible rosacea. And because rosacea is a common side effect of pregnancy, the dermatologists were like, immediately, that's rosacea. So nobody before had ever tested me for rosacea. And unfortunately, when you're pregnant and when you're breastfeeding, they don't like to give you ivermectin. So I couldn't really do anything. My skin it looked like I had a red screaming rash the entire time I was pregnant and like a year after Mila was born. Like if you see any pictures of me, first of all, I'm swollen. And second of all, like I've like caked on makeup just to like bring the redness down. Could not get rid of it. But then finally, once I was not breastfeeding very often, they allowed me to use Zulantra, which is a cream with like a tiny bit of ivermectin. It has changed my life. I am a huge believer in it. And you know what's funny is Zulantra is not funny, actually sad. Zulantra is not covered by most insurance because it's considered like cosmetic or something, which like for ivermectin, it's not at all cosmetic. It's literally like the alternative was like raw bleeding rash, right? Well, before they started compounding it, it was like $300 a month. So most people just couldn't use the Zulantra. So people were going to Tractor Supply and buying horse paste and applying it on their skin. And that's how I started. That's how I started because I could not get my insurance to cover it.
Yeah.
They really like my dermatologist. Yeah, my dermatologist prescribed it. They asked me $350 a month for it. I said, I literally can't. That was when my business was like completely shut down and I was trying to be responsible. And obviously like with 2 young kids, like what was like, why $300 when I could go to Tractor Supply and spend 12 and have like the same thing. And I used to wait. It was, but the thing about it's a horse anti-parasitic, right? So like, it's literally in like one of those like shot things, like a syringe. And it's supposed to be given. So I would just like squeeze a little bit of the syringe and it smelled like apples because it's flavored for the horse. And it's like gooey gel for that one. But thankfully now I pay $45 a month and it's delivered to my house by a compounding pharmacy. Thank goodness. And it's just the most amazing thing. And when the pandemic hit, so I had just started ivermectin when the pandemic hit. And so like now it was gone everywhere. Like when I was doing the horse paste for my skin, people were ingesting it, right?
Yeah.
And right or wrong, like I love that medication. So I think it's, you know, if you had success with it, I wouldn't be surprised for like anything, literally anything, because it's anti-inflammatory, anti-parasitic, antimicrobial. It's all of these things, but it's also really mild.
Yeah, it's very mild. And so many things in the body are actually caused by parasites and we don't realize it because our medical system does not look into the root cause of anything. It's just like all they want to do is either inject chemicals or cut it out. That's all they want to do.
Cut out the symptom, address the symptom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but there are so many things caused by parasites that we are not aware of. And there is a niche of people that believe, now I'm not 100% down this rabbit hole.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
But I can absolutely believe that there are certain cancers that are that are caused in some way, shape, or form due to parasites. In fact, I don't have a mutual acquaintance who has MS, and I just sent him information because there is a chiropractor in Florida who has been working with people because they are finding parasites in the spinal fluid of MS patients. And so, I mean, this is not, I mean, call me, I don't care. Call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. I don't care what you call me if what I say turns out to help somebody. Like,
well, this is the thing about ivermectin, is that really we are using it for our pets who are exposed to the same things as us. So we assume that horses have parasites. We assume that pets have parasites, right? Why wouldn't we when we're walking barefoot too? Like I was born in Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador where when I was growing up in Ecuador, we had dengue fever. We had cholera, literally cholera, like things that like in the US were like, you know, fictional almost, right? Like just so old timey. I grew up with that. And we were given dewormers like at least once a year. Like that was just like something we did like as a normal thing. And I lived in a home. I did not live, you know, I was not poor in any way, shape, or form. It was just like no matter what socioeconomic level you were in, you assumed we drank water that was purified and all that stuff. We did all the things that obviously the people in lower socioeconomic levels couldn't do, but we were still being dewormed, and we were taking anti-parasitics at least once a year. And if we had any kind of, you know, kind of an acute situation, the first thing that they would do was test us for worms.
Yeah.
But here in the United States, like that just hasn't been done for humans. And, you know, parasites, which is what heartworm is, right?
Yes.
It's a parasite.
Yes.
Parasites live in our environment, whether no matter what species you are, you're exposed to them. So the fact that we're like, yes, horses need them, dogs need them, cats need them, but not your kids, Isabel, the ones who are sitting outside, like playing in the dirt and then putting their hands in their mouths. Because like, ask any parent, like our kids are disgusting. My kids are worse than Kira. Like Kira rolls herself around, but she doesn't really groom herself very much. So like she probably has less bacteria and parasites than my kids have been exposing themselves to. So it's so interesting to me that like we get like all up in arms about an anti-parasitic for humans. I mean, I'm just happy to hear that like when I put it on at night, I'm actually doing like a full body like anti-parasitic. But it's the best thing that's ever happened to my skin. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love it. I'm seriously like considering taking it as well, just as like part of a detox that I need to be like I've been doing a detox for the past couple of months, but I have not done anything specific to parasites, and why the heck not?
Correct.
Like, why not?
Right.
But yeah, and my brain fog has gotten better, and like there's seriously, like we talk about detoxing our pets all the time. We should be talking about detoxing ourselves as well.
Oh, for sure. And well, when it comes down to heartworm, we all know, or most of us know, that it's caused by mosquitoes, right? Mm-hmm. Like the mosquito bites you, it's a carrier of whatever. Yeah. It's a carrier of the parasite. The parasite attacks the heart, probably other parts of the body, but we call it heartworm because that's where they tend to find them. And that's where you tend to find the most damage, right? Like that's when you start seeing the symptoms of like they're lethargic, they're out of breath, they're panting a lot. They obviously have like heart issues and symptoms related to that. So when we see our pets doing that, we take them to the vet immediately, and that's where they find the heartworm, whether or not they have it in other places. I mean, probably,
well, it certainly affects the lungs as well. But so yes, mosquitoes transmit it from one dog to another dog. Our cats are a totally different story, especially our indoor cats. There, in my opinion, is absolutely no reason to give heartworm prevention to an indoor cat. I don't even know why we would give it to outdoor cats. They're just not as susceptible, generally speaking.
I'm so happy we're diving into this first, because I think for dogs, yes, be careful of heartworm.
We need
get your dog tested every year. Like, period, end of story. Okay, for cats. So when I was living in Louisiana has a huge heartworm issue. Most of the dogs that are euthanized in shelter environments are euthanized because of heartworm, because they have so many that they can't really rehab them, right? So like they just have to like focus on the healthy ones and euthanize the ones that have heartworm. So whereas like in Northern Virginia, heartworm diagnosis may not be a death sentence, in Louisiana for a dog it is. So I asked my vet at the time in Louisiana, who literally was the nicest lady, and she was on Thursdays, she didn't even see patients because she was at the shelter spaying, neutering, operating shelter pets. So she's amazing. No hate whatsoever. But I asked her because I was raising neonatal kittens. And she was like, at certain age, they all need to go on heartworm preventative, especially here. And I was like, well, I mean, they're inside. They're literally in a room because like they were a nightmare. Like we moved our master bedroom out and put them in there. So they had a bathroom and everything. And they were like tiny little clawed, demons. And she was like, they have to. And I was like, do a lot of cats get heartworm here? And she was like, this is the interesting part. Outdoor cats don't, because they develop an immunity to it. But indoor cats, because they're not exposed as often, they need protection. And like that just didn't seem right to me.
No.
Right? Like it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like if they're being exposed, they're being exposed. If it's not going to kill the outdoor cat, why would it kill the indoor cat? We would assume that the indoor cat is overall healthier if they're having their needs met and they're, eating a quality food and getting some kind of, activity and maintaining a healthy weight and seeing a vet, blah, blah, blah.
But even if they're eating kibble, they are indoors.
Correct. So they have less risk factors, right?
Exactly. Where is the risk factor?
So anyway, I was immediately like, okay, I'll put them on, right? Like whenever. And I never quite did it. I think I put like the second. So I had 4 and then 2 of them got adopted really early. So I just kind of like took them and let them be adopted. The second set stayed with me for over a year. So I did actually eventually put them on something. But I remember, first of all, getting them to take it was a nightmare. Because they didn't want to take that little pill.
Of course not.
They don't want it.
Yeah.
And it was a chewable.
Poison.
Right. So it was a chewable. And so like half the time, which is such a waste of money, I would just be like, okay, you didn't want it. I just threw it away. You know what I mean? Like he didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that when they do get heartworm, there's no real cure for cats with heartworm. But an outdoor cat's probably going to lose its life a lot earlier than the heartworm is going to take it. You know what I mean? Because like outdoor cats have so many risk factors. They can eat. They'll probably eat rat poison before they get, they die or get hit by a car before they die from heartworm. Your indoor cat, again, it's like I live in the desert. We actually spray for mosquitoes because I'm highly allergic, and so is Noah, to mosquitoes. So we spray our yard for mosquitoes, not in the house. We don't spray any pesticides around the house or in the house, but like the trees and stuff get sprayed. And so like, what are the chances that we never see mosquitoes inside? And if we do, like they find me and I slap them and I kill them. So the chances of Van Gogh really being exposed are really very minimal. And I'm more comfortable just kind of getting him tested every year instead.
Yeah. I mean, for cats, I don't even know why we would waste the money to test them. But that's me. I just don't see the risk.
Well, that's just me being like super duper hyper responsible, because then I'm obsessed with my cat and I don't want anything to happen to him. So like if I ever like got a diagnosis that I potentially could have, but like even if they were to test him, like there's probably not much other than a round of ivermectin that we could really do for them. Is that?
I mean, so I think different people have different heartworm protocols. Like there's a standard heartworm protocol that I think, I don't know that I've ever heard of a cat being on, and this is just me. I don't know that I've ever heard of a cat being on a heartworm protocol. Dogs, it's terrible. They have to. Oh, okay. No, that was me. It was like trying to get me to like opt into using hand gestures or something. Right?
Yeah, you see?
Yes. I don't know that I've ever heard of a cat being on a heartworm protocol, but dogs, they wind up on, crate rest forever and ever and ever because you don't want to overexert the heart. Here's the reality of heartworm. I am more conservative when I talk to my clients about heartworm for their dogs specifically. I've never really have the conversation with cats. I'm just like, they're indoors. Why would we? Why?
Yeah, your cat should be indoors. That's the most important thing. Your cat should be indoors. Outdoor cats, no, not great. Outdoor only cats, not great. But indoor cats, they're safe.
The reality is, one, you need to assess your pet's risk factor. So do a Google search for where you live and how prevalent is heartworm, because yes, mosquitoes transfer it from one animal to another. Also only female mosquitoes. So that's a thing. But what is the risk factor for your pet specifically? So you have to be comfortable with what you're doing with your dog. I'm just gonna, from here on out, I think we're just gonna talk about dogs.
Yes.
So then what can you do besides putting neurotoxins in your pet's body that absolutely 100% is going to affect all of their organ systems, their brain, everything? What can you do? Well, you're not seeing feral dogs, wolves, foxes in the wild that are constantly being killed off by heartworms. Why is this? Because their immune system is incredible, because they are living outdoors. They're getting that healthy microbiome from the soil that they are constantly living in and on. They are eating a species appropriate diet. They have enrichment. They are hunting. Like, there's a lot that animals in the wild get that are, we have to make it a priority to simulate in our homes for our pets. The first one being a species appropriate diet. So when we assist their body in building a healthy, robust immune system, and they get bit by a mosquito that has heartworm that is being transmitted, they can kill it. They don't, just because they get bit by a mosquito that is infecting them with the microphila, whatever, I can't remember all the words, that are the tiny little heartworm thingies that will go and get into the heart and the lung and grow and expand. Before they get there, before they ever make their way to the heart, before they grow into adult size heartworms, their immune system is designed to recognize that as an invader and kill it. Now, an animal that is sedentary, that eats an ultra processed diet, that is not living a super healthy lifestyle, they are getting tons of chemicals in their body all the time. Their environment is toxic, so we're using toxic cleaners, fragrances, air fresheners, all the things that most people in the US, that's how they live. No, they're not going to be able to handle it if they get bit by a mosquito that has that is infected with heartworm. And so for me, what I recommend to my clients is, if that's the route you're going to stay with your pet, I'm not shaming you for that. You're giving your pet a loving home. I appreciate that. But yeah, we do need to do some sort of protection. For heartworm, my preference is going to be for a basic heart guard, which is, a microdose of ivermectin, and, essential oils, making sure the yard is clean so we don't have standing water, things like this, that we can really make sure we're providing the optimal environment so that, we're not in a breeding ground for mosquitoes. That's a good thing. But it just like everything else is a multifaceted approach in making sure that our pets are as healthy as they can possibly be. And sometimes that does mean additional supplementation in addition to a species appropriate diet, especially in puppies and in aging dogs. They just need more support. So to me, it's a well-rounded approach, and I don't want anyone's dog to get heartworm. So I am a little bit more conservative when I talk about prevention.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking up HeartGuard, and so HeartGuard, the basic one, is for cats. It only has ivermectin. Then you have HeartGuard Plus, which is ivermectin and a dewormer called Pyrantel.
Yeah, I it's really, really hard to find anymore. I think they almost stopped making the basic HeartGuard. I don't ever do pluses. I don't ever want to do more than one thing at a time, because then you don't know where a problem arose from, if a problem does arise. That includes vaccines as well. Doing a 4-in-1 vaccine, which one caused the problem?
Well, the problem is you can't get the individual anymore. I had a vaccine reaction to the flu shot given to me at the same time as the Tdap. And so now I can't have any of those. And so that is flu, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. I mean, I'm a grown woman with a healthy immune system, so the fact that they expect me to do that at one every 10 years anyway is silly. But that's 4 things that I will never be able to do again, because now you can't find any of those. Well, I mean, flu, yes, by
I don't
itself.
know. Like,
But
I
you
don't.
can't find diphtheria by itself. You can't find tetanus by itself. Now you have
Nobody
to
should
get
be.
all 3.
Nobody should be getting a tetanus shot anyway. That is the biggest scam. Well, the flu shot and tetanus, those are some huge ass scams.
I used to get the flu shot every year because my grandfather was very old and my grandmother was old, but not as old as him. And the only times that I got the flu was when I got the flu shot. So
100%. Yes, absolutely.
I don't know that I can't take it anymore. Like, even my doctors were worried because I had such a big reaction to those shots when I was 34 years old, 10 years ago now, over 10 years ago now. But my doctor, I had not gotten a shot until COVID, and they were super concerned about what I could react to, because we have no idea what I reacted to.
Exactly.
Because there are a million possible ingredients in that mess that I allowed them to fill me with. So yeah, I will say that one of the most important things is that annual testing for dogs, like having that on your radar. You should be going to the vet every year at least, because our pets really do hide a lot of things, and a trusted vet will palpate their stomach. They will check, especially as they get older, they'll check their eyesight, their hearing, to see if there's like a little bit of a change. They'll notice any kind of change in their weight, which is huge. Like, we don't have like veterinary grade scales here. I mean, I guess I could carry Kira 50 pounds and stand on my scale, but all those things that they do at like your wellness check every year are really important, just to see any changes. But also, you can do your $30 to $60, heartworm test. You can even take a fecal sample in and have things checked for other parasites. So having that annual check is so important to me. I feel like what we might miss as uneducated pet parents, right? Like, especially like if you are new to pet parenting, your vet should have an eye on your dog every year, your cat every year. I took my cat and my dogs in this year, and it was like such a mess. I think I told you, Jessica, because I usually take them, and then Chris, my husband, is retired now, so he took them, and like nobody knew what was going on. Like, the vet's assistants are different. I guess they're less experienced. The vet is just a single vet who like comes in and performs whatever she's been asked to perform and chit chats with you and checks the dog. But like, she's not going through like, did you do this? Do you want to do this? And like, she knows that we're pretty educated pet parents, so she just assumes we're going to ask for what we want. And the reason we went in was for heartworm testing, dental check, right? Like, do I need a dental for them now? And, your overall wellness, like take their, and blood work, because all of my pets, I get blood work once a year. And for my seniors, I should probably be doing it sooner, but I don't usually do it. They're really healthy. I don't go in more than once a year unless they're healthy usually. But they didn't do the heartworm. They didn't do the dental. Like, I had to call back and be like, so does he need a dental? Because like, Satchmo just got his dental last week because his breath smelled. But the vet was like, I didn't see anything concerning. So it was like this back and forth. So really having one person who handles your vet visits is smart. Like, whomever is the most like educated on the topic of pet care would probably be my choice. Having them go and talk to the vet, asking the vet questions, but also remembering that you have a choice when it comes to like, okay, it's a negative heartworm. Do you want to buy HeartGuard? No. Like, we got our negative heartworm and we haven't bought any HeartGuard. I think I stopped using them around the pandemic. Yeah. Like, I just stopped. I had them. They eventually expired. Like, I didn't see the point. Like, I just stopped. And so my vet doesn't even offer them anymore for us. She definitely hasn't talked to me about, for the cat, getting him on any heartworm meds. But again, we live somewhere where heartworm is not super common. If it were, I'm sure we would be having different conversations with our vets, because, pretty much every time we went in Louisiana, I was in southwestern Louisiana, anytime we went in, it was like posters about heartworm, the picture of the heartworm, because it was so common and so rampant in that area. So knowing where you live, knowing your risk factor, like Jessica said, and just having that open conversation with your vet is so important. But remembering again that you do have other options. I mean, there are natural approaches, Jessica, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, it all starts with
the immune system.
It all starts with the immune system, because if you are able to handle, if your immune system is able to handle invaders and kill them, then you don't need to load the system up with all of these chemicals. I mean, I get Kim's heartworm test every 6 months because we were in Central Texas, again, another place where heartworm is rampant, and I was concerned. I educated myself prior to moving there because I was so worried about it. And I took not only the free course, Dr. Will Falconer has a free heartworm course where you can start to learn about them. But I actually paid for his like full, like, I'm going to really dive deep into heartworm for you course. I paid for it because I was that concerned. So this isn't me over here going, it's nothing. Like, no,
exactly.
it's something.
Not taking it seriously.
It is very serious. We do need to be very cautious of it. And I'm not telling you to do what I do or do what I tell you to do, other than like go educate yourself on it, because that is where you have to be an empowered pet parent today. You have to be an empowered parent. You have to be just an empowered person,
patient,
like individual for yourself. And our pets are no different. We have to take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves, to have educated conversations, to ask educated questions. And so for me, when I moved to an area that I knew, and here I'm in the Hampton Roads area in Virginia, it's rampant here as well.
Anywhere where it's really humid is going to be rampant.
Absolutely. So I just have to be comfortable with what I'm doing for her as far as keeping her healthy, making sure her immune system is strong. And, maybe because she is aging, she's 11 years old now, like maybe I will start microdosing some ivermectin for her just to be on the safe side. I'm not opposed to doing that. I think it's the safest thing we can do if we have to do something in addition to keeping them, just otherwise healthy. And then I do, essential oils, which I will say, after talking to Rita Hogan, I have been cutting back my essential oil usage because she, as much as she loves essential oils, she also educated me on being a responsible steward of the resources on the planet, and that essential oils just don't usually fit that bill. I feel confident in where I get my essential oils from, that she is doing a good job of that. But like these huge like MLM companies like doTERRA and Young Living, I don't have any confidence that they're not, out there destroying the planet.
To get us these very concentrated.
Very concentrated. They're very, very concentrated. So I have just kind of tapered back my usage of what I have, and using it as necessary as opposed to just willy-nilly on everything all the time. Like I was. I think this is a case where I would still continue to use essential oils because, first of all, we're diluting them. We're not putting straight essential oil on our pets, generally speaking. There may be cases here and there where we would need something that, especially if we're dealing with like a tumor or something, we might want to use something more concentrated. But I'm diluting what I use on her, and it's effective. So, there. And then I also, when I moved to Texas, I was very intentional about the plants I put out. I put out a lot of catnip and rosemary and lemongrass because I wanted to make sure that my yard was not a hospitable place for fleas and ticks and mosquitoes. And so there is a lot that we can do without pumping our pets full of chemicals.
Always, like we talked about with the fleas and ticks, standing water is going to call the mosquitoes over.
Yep.
There are, natural sprays you can use. I know I use, I use Mosquito Squad, and they have a natural option. It just wasn't enough. My yard is probably the only yard in all of the desert that has 2 huge trees and grass. So all the mosquitoes, this milkshake brings all the mosquitoes to the yard. And
Yes.
I'm looking at this tree. It's humongous. Like, it's just huge, and it's what really well established, and it brings all the birds and it brings all the mosquitoes. And so it wasn't enough. Like, the natural spray wasn't enough. If I only had grass, it would probably be fine. And it would and I have all the front yard is all rocks, so really not an area where, mosquitoes are really going to be drawn, especially because it doesn't rain much here. But if you have like standing water, that is going to be where they come. The life cycle is like every 3 weeks, so we have to get sprayed every 3 weeks. You want to make sure you are consistent with any sprays that you use. Wondercide makes a yard spray, but if you live somewhere with, like, when it rains a lot, you're basically applying it after every heavy rain, which gets expensive. So it's all about like what you can do, what is practical, what is in the budget. And if just, a pill is what's the most practical thing for you, then that's what you should choose. I am more scared of heartworm than I am of anything flea and tick-borne, just because I feel like those can be acute. If those can be managed easier without like a monthly preventative. If you're going hiking, you got like Wondercide, and you spray them before, you spray them after, like, again, you make sure that you check for ticks and stuff before you come back inside. You have to check yourself. I mean, I don't spray myself with Wondercide before going hiking. And I'm walking in the same areas that my pets are walking, right? And socks and fur just as attractive to a tick, really.
Oh yeah.
So to me, it's like not that serious. I recognize that ticks do give they transmit very serious diseases, but I just feel like we can do things that are a little less, I guess, structured. Like, we can do it case by case basis.
Yeah.
But when it comes to heartworm, if you live somewhere like Miami where mosquitoes are an all year round thing, you may need that consistent monthly treatment where it takes that fear away and it actually does protect your pet. Just because they're on the heartworm doesn't mean that the heartworm preventative doesn't mean that they can't get heartworm. Like,
Right.
it's one of those things where they might get it and then it just kills it, because that's what it does, right? It like kills it once they get it. So you may not even know that it happened, but it is something that you should do if you're not going to be doing everything else. Like, that is something that, depending on where you live, it really is. Yes, it's a toxin. Yes, like you can choose something like ivermectin and something else. But I think it's less toxic than the pesticides that we put on like their backs for fleas and ticks. I really do. Those are straight pesticides. Ivermectin, I don't consider a pesticide. I consider it a medicine. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't either. And Tina is asking about HeartGuard. She thinks it has ivermectin. We did talk about the plain basic HeartGuard is ivermectin. That is correct. So the only thing I want to leave people with is, regardless of what you choose to do for your pets, please read everything about it. Ask for the product insert, read the product packaging, be comfortable with what you are putting in your pet before you put it in your pet. If you choose to do all the things that your vet recommends, you go ahead and do that. If that's what you feel is going to be best for your pets, just please read all of the product information before doing that. So like, don't let your vet give it to them in clinic. Take that packaging home, read everything, read all the inserts. If it's too small for you to read, pull it up on their website. You can do that too. You can do that before even buying it. So just inform yourself so that you are aware of what you're putting in your pet's body before you put it in your pet's body, and that you are comfortable with what you are doing. That's the only thing I'm gonna leave you with.
Well, perfect. So I just want to know if anybody just uses HeartGuard, regular HeartGuard for their dogs, that is labeled for dogs. Let me know where you get it, because all I can find is HeartGuard Plus for dogs and HeartGuard for cats. Obviously, you
Yeah,
can
I
just
think
use
they.
the Heartguard for cats for
Mhm.
dogs and just
You
give them
can.
more of it.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is that even though I'm saying that that's fine for this particular case, because ivermectin is species appropriate for both,
Yep.
do not do that with flea and tick medications. You
No.
cannot give flea and tick medication for dogs to a cat. You might kill them, and vice versa. Please be super careful about giving the wrong thing to the wrong pet. Read the labels, read the dosage. When in doubt, call your vet, hold off for the night, figure out what you're supposed to be doing so that you don't hurt them, because a lot of times we're talking about these side effects happening with perfect dosage and
Yeah. Oh,
perfect, and
absolutely.
even if you do it perfectly, you might have these terrible side effects. So imagine if you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
We could have even worse side effects. So always knowing what you're giving and who you're giving it to. As a professional pet sitter, that was one of my biggest fears, was always like, I was following not the vet's recommendations, but the pet parent's recommendations. And if the pet parent misunderstood from the vet and then told me to do something wrong, then it would be my fault. But it wouldn't be because I did this wrong on purpose. So what I would do for my team and for myself is we would research what it is. We would verify that the dosage was in line with what, the medication kind of says. And if there was anything that was completely like random or weird, we would call the vet directly and be like, hey, we're pet sitting, Kim, we're being told that this is the amount that she needs of XYZ, and just verify, because
Yeah.
you can't remove what you've put in.
You can't. You cannot.
You could bathe that dog all day long, but that flea and tick stuff in the is already in their bloodstream. And again, it's in your bloodstream because you applied it. If you don't wear gloves, I always used to wear gloves. I was like that. Nitpicky. I would not touch it. When I was giving it, I even knew that I shouldn't ingest it or have it on my hands. I don't use that stuff anymore, especially with kids around. But I would always be super careful to wash my hands or wear gloves. And I would always just, try to minimize the side effects by keeping an eye on them. If I'm doing multiple things, not doing them on the same day. So like if you are doing a flea and tick separate from a Heartguard pill, don't do them on the same day. Maybe alternate every 2 weeks. Like since they're monthly, do like 2 weeks and then the next one 2 weeks later, just so that you know that you're giving the body time to recover. There's so many things that we could talk about because, user error is so common, but also I feel like your vet's going to be like, it's fine. Just like doctors are going to be like, it's fine. And then you realize, well, maybe it wasn't fine for my pet.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. I know. It's amazing the things that we change doing when we learn all of these things that we learn, because my brother's dog still eats a bunch of kibble. Like he gets fresh food too, but they still, like, his base diet is still kibble. And it's funny because like I have my routine down for feeding Kim. I always wash my hands before and after getting her plate ready.
Of course.
It's just what I do, and I don't think about it, and I don't have a problem touching it. But like I go to grab his food and I'm like, I don't even want to touch this because I know how nasty this is. You know what I mean? Like it's like washing my hands isn't enough, and isn't enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny because I have to tell my kids, like, because I use a lot of Bears Bites treats, so it's freeze-dried raw food. It's so I'll be like, you can give, Kira a treat, you can give the cat a treat, but you need to wash your hands after. And they're like, why? Because it doesn't look gooey, and it's not like the freeze-dried raw stuff that we rehydrate looks gooey and stuff. So you know that you need to wash your hands. I'm like, you need to wash your hands after touching any dog food, whether it's kibble, whether it's raw, whether it's freeze-dried, whatever it is. I don't care how cooked it is, gently cooked, fully cooked, like nuclear cooked. It doesn't matter. Like, I need you to wash your hands after.
And I am so reckless. Like I truly am. Like if you were to like walk behind me, I am so reckless. Like with my cats, they're freeze-dried raw. I just like hand it to them, toss it down, and I just get back in bed. And I'm like, hopefully I don't rub my eye in the morning. Like I'm so reckless.
I'm not. I'm a bit of a germaphobe. So like I'm like,
but
wash your hands.
I'm a huge germaphobe with kibble because I know how much more prevalent these bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, are in kibble versus the raw products that I buy commercially.
Yeah.
Like there is a zero tolerance for raw products in the pet food market. Nobody gives a crap with kibble. They are laced with salmonella and E. coli. And like, I don't know. Like, there's this part of my brain that is like, you're fine. And then I see a bag of kibble and I'm like, germs, right? Like,
I mean, I am a germaphobe for all of it. And also, reminder, wash your pet bowls, no matter what you feed.
Yes. Every day. Every day.
And the water bowl, wash it before you refill it, and refill it daily.
Absolutely.
Please.
Yeah, I wash them every day.
Your pets deserve fresh water. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna wrap it up here. Do you have any idea what you want to talk about next week? I was thinking of how the tariffs might impact pet food prices, pet products. I was talking to 2 founders who are going to have to raise their prices immensely if nothing happens before, the tariffs are going to be rolled out. There are manufacturers who are not ordering stuff because they don't know, like, when it leaves China, what the tariff's going to be.
I was going to say, didn't we paused all tariffs except for China, right? So China was still, like, currently there's a 90-day pause on all countries except for China.
Well, every single poop bag in the country is made in China. So if you want to stock up on stuff, do it now. Whether it's an earth-friendly poo bag or not an earth-friendly poo bag, they're all manufactured in China. And a lot of people are saying that they're not even placing orders. Anything that's fabric that comes from China, anything that might be hit by a tariff, you might want to get stuff now if you have the budget for it to, like, pre-purchase things that, like, supplements, because ingredients are going to be affected. So I think it'd be cool to talk about that and see, but I guess if not all
sprawling topic, but we can try to
tariffs
do, like, a bird's eye view.
Yeah, of course it would be. I mean, I don't even think the administration knows what the details are on the tariffs at this moment. Trump is saying that he wants to he was maybe, like, backing off a little bit off the tariffs, but the tariffs for us, like, obviously it's going to affect everybody's bottom line, but when it comes to, pet stuff that maybe your pets really need, like you have an older pet on some kind of supplement, even everything's going to go up because most packaging is made in China. So if you get something that is, the product itself is not sourced from China, but the actual jar or whatever, most of that comes from China. So that's why everything might go up. So I would love to talk about that and talk about, what it is that will be affected, may not be affected, how to move forward, how to even just talk about budgeting for these things and, like, the unexpected. Even without the tariffs, we have to budget for unexpected with our pets.
We do. Absolutely. I think that's a good, I don't know how much we could get through in an hour with that, but we can certainly try.
Well, we'll just go off of the latest news on the tariffs that day, right? Like, whatever, because it changes every single day. The trade war of sorts that's happening. We will just talk about what the news says that day as to what's coming and how to react to that. Because, like I said, I've spoken to 2 founders of 2 different types of pet products. And when you do this, when you do the peace sign, you get balloons.
Maybe it's like, no, you only get it once. I'm not,
Fine.
Maybe I didn't opt in. So
2 people, one of them makes poo bags and the other one makes or poo bags and other things, but the majority is poo bags. And the additive is made here in the US, but it's shipped to China to make the poo bags and then shipped back. And like the tariff situation is changing so quickly that they don't want to place orders because when it
You don't know what's going to happen by
leaves,
that time.
you don't know what you don't know how much it's going to cost to just get it into the US at that point or out of China. And then the other one makes pet products like collars and leashes and things like that. And it's all fabric. And obviously the US doesn't make fabric unless it's like a super high-end fabric. We don't make our own fabric here. So
We
everything
used
is
to. Jeez, Lou. We used to make so much fabric in North Carolina, didn't we?
I mean, we make furniture in North Carolina.
We do make furniture in North Carolina, but I think
but yeah, only the super high-end fabrics are made in the United States, and they're very, very, very niche. So right now, like obviously fast fashion's all Asia, and fast fashion affects not just the humans, but also the pets, right? And like even the better quality pet products are all those materials are coming from abroad. So it's going to affect us if it moves forward. And again, it's like we don't really know what to do, but we need to take some steps to maybe just prioritize what we can and cannot live without. Obviously, a new collar.
Yeah.
But, you know, that supplement that you can't live without or that your pet like depends on, or medications are going to go up. Probably a lot of things going to happen. So we'll talk about that next week.
Yes, let's do that. Awesome. All right, guys, don't forget to go watch Common Ground on Amazon Prime.
And my show this week is Friday, not Thursday. Thursday is a crazy momming day for me. Zoo in the morning with Mila, and then a performance in the afternoon with Noah at school. So I am going to go live on Friday at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers, with a groomer that I met at Super Zoo, who is a fellow Latina and so cute and such a cool young woman. So I wanted to bring her on and just get to know her a little better.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week, and let us know if you have any other follow-up questions. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, comment below if you find HeartGuard for dogs without anything but ivermectin. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.